Oh, hello there, boys and girls. Sorry for waiting a bit of a while, but never to get unexpected so difficult this time of the year. So I just gonna have to read this and continue with this book. By the way, here is what survived that scratching and struggle it. But Abbott has decided to make the video, so we have to read this possible for without get unexpected dates, and it takes a difficult time. So I'm gonna do this right now. Albert and Costello, actors Bonds Albert, born on September to 1895, Asbury Park, N.J. as William A. Albert, passing April 24, 1974. Lord Costello, born March March 6, 1906. Patterson, N.J. as Lucas French Costello, passing March 3, 1959. The most successful of the comedy teams of the 1940s, Adalbert and Costello, consistently made this yearly the list of a Filmadome top 10 moneymakers, and while this era popularly amongst the moviegoers wanted to, during the 1950s, the boys wanted over a new generation of fans with a TV series, and endless the rerun of their the old movie. Along with the tall, joyously the fast-talking, the straight man, was born in a circus of performers, but it didn't have much success of breaking it into show business himself until 1931, when, as the Broadbent theater's cashier, he filled into the Costello's usual the straight man. The short Costello, a former newsboy, soda jerk, and salesman, a word invented in late 1920. Flitting into Hollywood only the got him that got some stunt and extra works in among other. The 1927 illustrated Henry comedy, The Battle of the Century, developed at the instant of Rampart with Albert. Their subsequently the working together in the Boston Vanderbilts on Broadway and onto the radios of Polishes third act to the high clause. Before the getting it there, they first joined the Hollywood opportunity in Universal the one night into the tropics in 1940s. Although the there was only supporting the players, they stole the show with their rapid fires crosstalks routine, including the classic Who on First. Universal just started the team in a low budget in 1941. Comedy The Bronx Private is an enormous and unexpected success. Could have visited the studios that they went to the Bobrand Star in the Nefade Hope That Goes, Keeping It Flying, also in 1941. Riding Them the Cowboy, Patient My Strong, Who Done It, all in 1942, is Hazy's Hit the Ice, both in 1943. In Society, 1944, and Here Comes the Coens, 1945. Followed the film where the short on is characterizes, but alongside on the slipstick, mostly featuring the April's crossword and the beautifully timed parallel routine, many of which were to clean up the well-written skit, written or polished by the third personal writer, the John Gritt, MGM. Moreover, the team the several times for Royal Lutas 1942, which saw the boys in roles taken by Wheelers and Wolseley in 1929, original Lost in the Harams 1944, and The Bunch of Bronze and Literal Carlos in Hollywood in 1945, none of which achieved the success of the Universal's effort, despite this significantly higher the production increases. Addressless the chronicles of produced universities to break the formula, and the studio started the experiment with the naughty 90s, 1945, a period of peace that included a replacements of Who on First, Little Giant, and a more successful The Time of Their Life, both in 1946, had both Lowell's working independently of each other's subsequent films were hit and miss. The Withdrawal of Wetro Grabs, Bunk Privates Come Home, both 1947, a sequel to their first hit, The Nose Hanging High, 1948, released by the Eagle Lion, but produced at the Universal, and other remakes of a little-known Studio B picture from 1939, For the Love or Money. Then someone converted Abbott and Costello met Frankenstein, 1948. The Blinds of Comedies and Horror with Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Wolfman's on hand was just right, and the film of the proprietors Bonds and launches the back Bond and lures back to the top of the box office head, so the Ouroboros and Crossroads met the killer Boris Carol of 1949. Ouroboros and Crossroads met the Invisible Man, 1951. Ouroboros and Crossroads met the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, 1953, also co-starring the Carol of. About the and Abrov and Quarles met the Mummy, 1955. Underwrites the same format Abbott with the processly that demonstrates the result. None of the team others starring the vehicle, which include Mexican Harry Bright, 1948. A curiosity that this improbable version of the hit play with controls of poster music, Africa Scream, 1949. Ouroboros and Costello in the Foreign Legions, 1950. Coming Around in the Mountain, 1951. The Kitties, Alterous Jack and the Beanstalk, Lost in the Exeter, Arrows and Cottrell, Carl's met the Captain Kidd, all in 1952. Abbott and Cottrell go to the Mars, 1953. Ambrose and Cottrell met the Keystone Copper, 1955, and the Dance with Me, Henry, 1956, was a particularly noteworthy, but this time they're the popular lead that had it. It's driven by the younger, wider teams of Martins and Liz. There's still the provided on the TV, however, on the Caucasian Comedy Hours, 1951 between 1954, and the Alberts and Quarles Show, 1952 between 1954. In the latter, they performed many of the routines originally written for their film. The team is split up in 1956, and Lewis, who reportedly harbored the solo star rings. Ambassadors for years, top of the lines at Metro Chords, the 30-foot barrels of Candy Rocks. Just before he's passed away in 1959, April's lifelong epilepsy. Horse Steady the Store. Ratings that helped finally send him to the nurse's home was reduced abruptly after the IRS nailed him for the back tax. He rolled his voice to the 1966 series of Ouroboros and Carl's animated cartoon.